iPhone users, you really should watch this video. Android users, click off now. What's up guys, welcome to another video, and this is kind of my 72 hours first impressions of the iPhone XS Max, and then also my feelings about iOS compared to my experience on Android. Now, most people use an Android phone probably a little bit more than Apple, even though Apple has a lot of these phones sold. There's a lot more Android phones out there. But I can actually see why so many people use an iPhone for social media. What can I say? The experience on social media for an iPhone is completely different in a sense from when I use my Android phone. And this goes to, this speaks towards how smooth and how fluid and how functional it appears that some things that are Google services run on iOS devices. For instance, just Google Chrome. Google Chrome on iOS, in my experience, it's a much better experience. Like, I like the way it looks. I like the new Chrome, by the way. How do you guys like the new Chrome? The experience with certain apps like Google Plus, Chrome, YouTube, most of these things appear to run a little bit better on my iPhones. And I've always used an iPhone. I've just never used it as my primary phone. I've always used an Android phone as my primary phone, and I don't know if that'll change. It could possibly change since we now have the bigger iPhone. But just my experience on social media is so much better on iOS. I don't know what that's about. Like, it's like the applications are way more polished on iOS. So this video, I'm definitely gonna stroke some egos. Apple users, I can see why you like iPhones so much. And again, I'm not really primarily an Apple guy for phones. Everything else, yeah, I use their Macs and everything else, but phones are normally at the bottom of my list. But this phone is kind of doing it for me, and I think it's just because it's a little bit bigger in these cameras, but we'll get to that. So, you know, I just feel like the experience on an iPhone is so much better than on an Android phone. Now, an Android user would tell you, oh, I get to customize my phone, and, you know, I get to put a widget at the top. Well, all those things kill off battery. So the more widgets I have on my home screen, which I don't normally put widgets on my home screen for my Android phones, I might like put a clock or a weather, and that's pretty much it. But iOS, you really don't need to do that. The experience that I'm having with this thing is absolutely fantastic, man. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest here. I can see why so many people like iPhones. You know, again, I've always had an iPhone. I've got several, but something about this iPhone, and I'm sure it's just the size, having that bigger canvas is definitely helping me for media content, typing, reading things, emails. It's just so much better. But going back to social media. So I was looking on the Chrome browser this morning, and you know, I just was scanning through and I was like, wow, this is such a better experience than my Android phone. It's unreal. You know, just the fluidity of iOS and the way things run on iOS has pretty much always been better than Android. And it's just what it is. Sorry, folks. No, I'm not sorry, because the experience is better on an iPhone for nearly all of the Google apps. Even a horrible app like Hangouts runs better on an iOS device. It's sad. Google Voice is something that I use also for I have to use that because I have 2 business lines through that. Runs fantastic on my iOS devices. On my Android devices, it just feels clunky and slow. It just doesn't feel right. And again, all iOS devices are pretty much the same. So even my old iPhone 6s, my old iPhone 7, they all run smooth on iOS 12, and I have no problems. Now, like I was saying with social media, just my overall experience with this phone in the last 3 days has actually been great. I just can't, I'm not gonna get on here and lie and say, oh, you know, iOS is trash. Nope. iOS has always been, to me, a much better experience overall than Android. Android has a lot of work to catch up on when it comes to user experience, and that's probably why Apple is selling so many iPhones. I mean, my experience with the phone has just been fantastic. So I'm gonna jump over to battery. Here's another area where the bigger iPhones have always done really well compared to some Android phones. Now, I do have Android phones that go 10 hours, 8 hours regularly, but you know, again, the experience, you know, the overall experience. This iPhone 10, the most I've gotten so far is about 7.5 hours with 20% left. And that's actually pretty good I haven't really been monitoring the battery. Actually, I did it the first cycle that I did a battery charge, and that was it, because I realized I'm going to get fantastic battery at this thing. I realized I didn't even charge within a 24-hour period. So if you know me, you know that's how I measure batteries now. I don't measure batteries so much just solely on screen on time. I measure it how long I can stay off the charger. I remember Samsung used to post these videos saying that Apple users are always plugged in at the airport and stuff like that. And it was funny, it was really funny, but not anymore. This phone right here and most of the big iPhones do last longer than a lot of Android phones. And so your time off of the charger, coupled with the screen on time, is important. But I used it for probably, now of that battery life, that 20%, I got like another hour or so. So I've got about a little over 8 hours, or right at 8 hours on a single charge of screen on time. So that's actually pretty good. And I was off the charger for a day. And you want to be off the charger. It's not just about getting screen on time, it's also about being off the charger. Because you could get 15 hours of screen on time, but you only got 16 hours off the charger. Okay, makes sense? Yeah. That means you really have to be on your phone hard. So, the battery life on this thing has been just fantastic. Now, the cameras on this thing, I did a camera review, and they're good. Are they groundbreaking? No. The front camera, that is. To me, the front camera in lower lighting still needs some work. When I say lower lighting, I mean sometimes I'm in this office and I have just one studio light going, and because I have high power LEDs, I replaced the regular fan and put three LEDs in this fan. So if I didn't want to use any studio lights, it's kind of like having studio lights above me, pretty much. Even that situation, the iPhone still struggled a little bit with the front-facing camera, kind of this yellowish tint, and on the rear camera was kind of the same thing, like a yellowish tint compared to the Vivo Nex, which has fantastic cameras, and I will be showing you a comparison of those. But if you're an iPhone user, the iPhone 10's got some, it's got some trouble coming with that Vivo Nex. But overall, the rear cameras and both the front cameras in the right lighting, it looks fantastic. I mean, these cameras are world class, man. I love being able to record with an iPhone. Like if I'm on the go, if I'm traveling, I don't even take my DSLR. I always carry an iPhone with me. I carry an iPhone and a Galaxy Note with me when I'm traveling to events and stuff like that. And also my iPad. I stopped taking my MacBook Pro too. Well, I didn't take it on my last event, but the iPhone 10 Max is a phone that I won't now need to carry my iPad Pro, because it's got a big enough canvas to edit, shoot video, put animations, put music, everything right on the phone. The iPhone XS Max video for camera review was all done on the phone. No other source was used, just the phone. So I took photos, dropped it in iMovie, videos, dropped it in iMovie, sound, animations, speed, transitions, everything was done right on the iPhone XS Max. This phone right here, while I am getting the XR, because we already have a 10, so I'm just going to skip the XS. Obviously, you need to skip that. But the XR, I can't wait to see how great that phone is. I'm pretty sure it's going to be nice. I will have the product red XR. At least that's the plan for now, unless I like the other colors better. But I'm telling you, the experience for the cameras on this thing, they're fantastic, man. You could literally use this thing to shoot and do everything. And that is another reason why I like using an iPhone over my Android phone sometimes, because I could do everything on my phone. I don't like that Android doesn't have some of the native apps that Apple has. And I think the main one, since I do film and video and stuff like that, is just iMovie. iMovie is great, folks. Don't sleep on it. You don't have to get Final Pro. I actually got Final Cut Pro and straight refund. I was like, I don't even need this, man. I don't need all of this, man. For the editing that I'm doing, basic editing. That's all I'm doing. Nothing fancy, and I don't do a lot of B-roll. Shout out to Tech Ninja. I don't do a lot of B-roll, but sometimes I do some B-roll. So there's nothing wrong with that. But I still don't need anything higher than iMovie. And I think when I do use something higher than iMovie, I actually have. I purchased Sony Vegas Pro on my Windows machine. So if I have to just do some serious editing, I'll just go over to my Windows laptop or my Windows computer. But I hardly ever use those. I don't even keep those. They're in a separate office now. I don't even keep that Windows stuff in here. I got a Windows laptop, my gaming laptop, yes, but I just feel like if you want a complete editor, video, shoot, point, shoot, create, submit, upload, render, everything right here. Everything right here. And if you're a one-take Jake type of person, you can shoot in 4K and 60 FPS and upload directly to YouTube. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I'll shoot a video and I'll shoot it in 4K 60 FPS and send it right to YouTube. I love being able to do that. You know, so yeah, cameras, fantastic. We all know the fluidity of iOS is really, really solid already. And the addition of, okay, so Apple said that the speaker experience is, I was gonna go somewhere else, but I'm gonna go ahead and go to the speakers because I just thought about it. Apple said the speakers are louder. My honest opinion is if you don't have the iPhone 10, well, the iPhone 10 is so close to this phone, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's not groundbreaking like what they're saying, but it is loud. The speakers on this phone are super, super loud. I will do some B-roll right here, but let me see if I can just fire something up, because I want you to hear this. So, as you can see, speakers are great. And that was at full volume, you know, but it's a matter of, even that is subjective for whether you think those speakers are good or not, but it's not like when they say, oh, it's 20%, 30% louder, 25% louder, 40% louder, I can't really hear it, you know, but all I know is speakers, fantastic. Now, I want to talk about the operating system itself in two areas. Now, you hear me talk about this a lot, FaceTime and iMessenger. I did a video with the two girls, and they said, oh, I love FaceTime, I love iMessenger. And well, they tell me that anyway, face to face, but FaceTime, I've heard people say that Duo is comparable to FaceTime. Now I know this video is for iPhone users only, but I know some Android users are gonna sneak in here and watch this video, so I appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying it. But to me, I tried out Duo. Duo, like, how many people do you know on Duo? I have Android phone. Now, if you're an iPhone user, you probably don't use an Android phone. Like, if you're a true iPhone user, you tried Android and you hated it and you stopped using it. But if you're one of those hybrids in here, if you're a hybrid and you still kind of dabble with Android, try out Duo. And you tell me what you think. You know, it's nice and everything, but it still can't match FaceTime. I was talking to Nitek. And he recently converted from Android to iOS. He bought a gold 10s Max. He loves it. Now we're talking about a guy who's been Android since day one. He's been using Android since the G1. You know, he switched over to iOS full time. He bought the watch. He's got the AirPods. I mean, he did the full transition. Now I think he's getting ready to buy his iMac. He's getting ready to buy a MacBook Pro and an iPad Pro. I'm pretty sure he is, because he's pumped. I told him, I said, and he used to call me on Hangouts audio, which just sucks. Hangouts just sucks, period, but it's still better on iOS. And I said, listen, stop using Hangouts. He normally messaged me on Hangouts. I said, stop using Hangouts. I'm turning off notifications for you for Hangouts because you have an iPhone now. Hit me up on iMessenger. Hit me up on FaceTime audio. Hit me up on FaceTime. He said, oh snap, I forgot about that. Now he's called me from Hangouts audio via Bluetooth in his car or just on the go. Horrible. Cut out, trash, it just chops up. It's just horrible. He called me from FaceTime audio over LTE, sounded like a regular phone call. he was convinced, like, yeah, I'm not going back. And even if he does use an Android phone again, which I don't know that he will, man. He fully converted over. He's convinced. His experience and everything is just so much better on iOS. It's almost like he doesn't really want to admit that fully publicly, but I'm doing it for him right now. Sorry, I had to blast you. iOS with FaceTime audio and FaceTime is just worlds ahead of Hangouts, man. And I use Hangouts because people talk about Duo, but nobody uses Duo. I've tried Duo. Oh, it's nice. I can create a little animation at the beginning before they ring up the call. But people don't, you have to tell people about Duo. You have to tell people about Duo. You don't have to tell anybody about FaceTime or iMessenger. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. I just don't feel like anything's touching FaceTime audio at all. Duo, Hangouts, anything you come up with, it's just gonna be better. And then the updated version of FaceTime, you got the little icon at the bottom. You can do a whole bunch of stuff now. It's a lot different than what it was before. So FaceTime and FaceTime audio, it's just crazy, man. I love it. Now, iMessenger. Again, Google has Messenger, like the blue icon, but it's still like, I hate to keep using these same examples, but here's the thing. This is how I use iMessenger. I'm not just saying it to like throw it in Android users' faces, but I use iMessenger like this. I'll send an entire video through iMessenger. You know what I did one time? I turned on Wi-Fi and I sent a full movie through iMessenger. Just testing it. Comes out clean on the other side. Comes out clean on the other side. It's crazy. It's full resolution, everything. No problems. Can you do that on Android? Probably not. You're gonna be cut off, even if you use like a Google services like Drive or like sometimes if you try to send an email, you can't even send a large email through Google. It's gonna tell you you reach 25 megabytes, and you need to use another source, another one of their sources. But I can take something as simple as iMessenger and send it straight through. I send a full freaking movie, man. I send songs through it. You just drag and drop. Drag and drop it into iMessenger. Yeah, you're golden. Now, iMessenger does use data. We know this. But I just feel like the experience with iMessenger compared to Google messaging, still not there. And, Android is great, man. Again, you're talking to an Android user, Been using Android since day one. I have a lot more Android phones than I have iPhones, and there are a lot of things that Android does better than iOS. But in reality, I can see why people flock to iPhones, man. This phone right here might be the phone that converts me over to iOS permanently. Like, main SIM card permanently. Not shutting Android off. Android just gets bumped to the second and third SIM. I don't know, man. It's this big iPhone, because it's just an iPhone, folks. It's the same thing that we had. My older iPhones look the same, run the same. Something about having this one. Something about having this one. FaceTime, not FaceTime, but the Face Unlock. While it's fast, Apple said that it's faster than, it's like, I don't know how many percentage faster. They said it's faster than the previous iPhones. I can't really tell the difference. To be honest, I'm just gonna keep it 100. I can't really tell the difference. I just know that it's fast. But the fact that I still have to swipe up to get to it, I've got my G7, you just hold it up and it unlocks all on its own. But with the iPhones, you have to swipe up. And is that a horrible thing? It's not that it's bad, it's just that I have the 256 gig. I paid over $1,300 for this phone. Like, out. I shouldn't have to swipe to get into my phone after it's unlocked. But it's just what it is. However, Face ID is clean. And if you don't like that area at the top, you know what it's called. I'm not running a black wallpaper to cover that, because it doesn't bother me, you know what I'm saying? I don't even notice it after a while. But to be honest, when I'm on my home screen, I forget that it's even there, So, my first 3 days with the iPhone XS Max, normally Now, keep record of this now, because if you've been following me for a long time and you know I can't use an iPhone for more than like 2 months. I think the longest I made it was 2 months, and that was with the iPhone 10. So maybe I'll make it 6 months with this one. It's a bigger phone, you know, it's nice, you know, the screen resolution went up, even though I still can't watch 4K video on it. I can record 4K, but I can't play 4K. That sucks. It really does. I can watch HDR videos, but I can't watch 2K or 4K HDR videos. Kind of sucks, Apple. But I don't know, man. I'm excited to have the iPhone XS Max. I'm gonna be even more excited to try the XR when I buy that one. It's just gonna be a pretty solid experience, I think, man. I don't think I'm gonna be upset about either experience. I think it's just gonna be good, you know. The size of the XR is probably gonna be really good for middle ground, you know. And here's the strange part. Android Pie, Android 9, so if you're not an Android user, you don't know what I'm talking about, but Android Pie, Android 9, it has the gestures just like the iPhone, but for some reason, it's just not as intuitive. I know. It's just not as intuitive. It's better on an iPhone. It just appears like, I thought I would hate not having a home button, so that's why I keep an iPhone with a home button. But something about this phone is starting the conversion. I don't know, I could change my mind later, because I do have a Vivo Nex. That's an Android phone. If you don't know what that is, Apple users, it's an Android phone that has a much better screen and probably better cameras. I don't know, I'm still testing. But it's a 6.6 inch display, and it is all screen. No area cut out at the top, it's just all screen. So we shall see how this works. I'm going full time with my SIM card in here, my main SIM, and I'll see how long that lasts. But overall, folks, this experience so far, it's a winner, man. So Android users, hey, if you're an Android user and you want to try an iPhone, start with this one, because more people use a big Android phone than a smaller Android phone. So Android users, try this phone. I think you'll be pretty happy with it. It's your man Jay. Long, lengthy 20-30 minute discussion, however long this was, but it was to confirm some things for Apple users that you already knew. And like I said, I know a few Android users are going to come in here and say the Note 9 is better, Android better, Apple sucks. You know, so I've been telling people that Apple users don't care. Like, the average consumer doesn't care that other people think something's better. They just using what they want to use, and some guy puts in there, well, ignorance is bliss. Well, you can say what you want to say. You can say what you want to say. You are not going to be able to tell a person, and because I tried it with my own kids, I just told them, hey, you know, hey, look, but this offers more. They're like, so we don't care about that. We don't care about that. We have a better experience on here. And honestly, folks, I think that's why Apple users enjoy their phone so much. You know, Android users tend to call names, which is kind of childish, man. But at least that's what I see in my comments on my videos. Android users call iSheep, and they're Apple users are suckers, and they're getting all their money. Listen, you a sucker too. It's not like the Galaxy Note 9 and the G7 and all these phones are cheap. They're $700, $800, $900 too. There's plenty of phones out there, Samsung being the most expensive right up here with Apple, but those phones are thousands of dollars too, so how are you not a sucker too? It's not like you're getting this great, so much, and well, in my experience, I'm not getting that much better of an experience by using my Galaxy Note than my iPhone 10. It's the same thing. It's just icons on a screen, click, open, shoot, film. It's the same thing. The only difference is I'm getting a much better fluid experience on my iPhone. Not to mention the integration of Apple software, my 5K iMac, my MacBook Pro, my iPad. All of those can ring like a cell phone. Sometimes I just leave my phone up here in the office and I'm downstairs with my iPad next to me. Phone rings, troop, hello, just like that. Not really happening too well on Android. Don't think so. And my computing experience with Macs, to me, just much better. And remember, I have a brand new laptop by Acer. I have two Acer laptops. One's a Chromebook, but I have the latest Acer gaming laptop. It's got a high-powered GPU. It's sweet, you know. It's got a Core i5, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD. It's got an NVIDIA 1050i. It's packed. I still don't like the experience better than my MacBook Pro. And there's hardly any Windows computers like Towers that I would prefer. Like, just the overall experience of my Mac OS, it's just better to me than Windows. This goes deeper than just phones. Now, I'm getting used to using an iPhone regularly, even after all these years. I burn out, like I said, but with my computing experience, I don't think I'm ever going to use a Windows computer full time again. It's not going to happen. Nope. It's your man Jay, man. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you Apple users, I hope I stroked your ego long enough. Share this video, you know, with all your Apple fans. Android users, continue to hate on Apple users. It's okay. We understand you're just a little bit envious, but I would tell you, try an iPhone for a month and put your Android phone down and tell me how your social media experience goes. Tell me how your web browsing, your filming, your everything. Tell me how that goes. I'm out.